and welcome to another Galaxy of Heroes video. I am Sanjita, and today I'm doing my first Conquest-oriented video, as Conquest just started yesterday. I actually love this game mode. It's one of my favorites, even though I know a lot of people aren't a fan of it. And as a player who has never missed Redbox and never bought the Conquest Pass, I wanted to share with you some tips and tricks that I have and priorities to go through Conquest without frustration and ensure you get that red crate or at least the gold crate along the way. Now, the first priority you want to look at when going through Conquest is 3-start every node first try. And that might sound, okay, obvious. Yeah, you want to be perfect, but I mean that you need to prioritize this over shoving as many feats into a few battles as you can. In Old Conquest, before Datacrons and bonus nodes, you want to spend as little time in Conquest as possible, and or as few battles as possible, and just get that red box. That meant going back and fighting the easy nodes in the normal table. But now with all those bonus nodes at the end, there's actually something to be gained from each battle. So you want to be farming those sector feats and global feats at the end on those Datacron nodes, because you're actually getting something in return for it, not just another battle towards feats. And the next tip and priority while going through Conquest is don't let your Galactic Legends sit at 100% stamina. If you have 4 Galactic Legends and you only have time for 4 battles, use one of them for each battle. It's hard enough to 3-star every node in one try without the help of your Galactic Legends. And if you're over 4 million GP, you should have at least a couple or one. I know you don't necessarily have to, but if you have them, just use them. They're your workhorse for this mode. And if you've used them all, like, get them down to like 60% and just keep a rotation going. Even if you don't have the deepest roster, you can use your top characters to make sure you get 3 stars on those nodes. And by the way, just because I'm saying 3-star every node first try, it doesn't mean back out if you have lost a character or 2 characters. The important thing is to clear and get on to the next node as soon as you can. The third priority we have is work on sector feats. So whatever sector you're in, try to go through and get as many feats as you can. Even though 3-starring is a priority, you do want to work on those sector feats. But you got to be smart. If you're stuck with going past either a Darth Revan team or General Skywalker team, just take in your best team to make sure you beat that. If you have General Kenobi, use that team. You should save that team to go through the hardest teams in Conquest. In my mind, those are the Sith Empire, Darth Revan team, and then the Gas 501st team. Those cause a lot of problems. So that's not the time to try using your Rey and light side droids and resistance, because you're definitely going to lose some against a General Skywalker team. Even if you have great data discs on, chances are you'll lose at least someone in those battles. So definitely work on sector feats, but don't prioritize that over 3-starring a node. And then the next priority is work on global feats. And a lot of Conquest advice is oriented towards getting these two done, working on sector feats and global feats. And it is great to kill as many birds with one stone as you can. Definitely be working on sector feats and global feats together. But first look for what sector feats you can do, and then look for what global feats you can do, because the global feats are the easiest to farm after you've run the table. I usually spend a lot of time on the Tusken bonus node in Sector 4 or the Night Sister node in Sector 3 just to get those Mark II upgrade mats. So you can save these, and you're going to be, as long as you're farming Datacrons, which you should be, you'll have plenty of time to work on these feats at the end as well.
Hello there.
Like and subscribe.
Next up, we have don't replay nodes you have cleared except bonus. And this is something I'm tempted to do. If I do have those attempts where I've only gotten 1 star on a node, it's frustrating. I don't know. It clashes with my sense of completion. So I'm tempted to go back and just use a good team and clear it to get the 3 out of 3. But don't do this until the end. You might not need to go back and even increase the star count on a node at the end if you've gotten enough feats. So it's not worth it. Just keep moving forward and work towards completing the whole table. Next, ignore the southern or bottom challenge path. And I should be able to show a picture of this. But those bottom paths only lead to an extra choice for techs. I don't use techs at all. Some people like using the Frenzy tech to get the Purge Fee all in one shot, but the Purge Fee is actually one I skip. The techs, they're temporary. You're not going to keep them forever, so the priority should just be data discs. So definitely focus on going that top challenge path, but ignore the bottom one and just look for the more favorable matchups on that path. And my last piece of advice is don't swap out your data discs in your first run through. Keep them only for the long run. I'm gonna put myself over here. Wasted energy is wasted battles, and you should only equip data discs in your first run through that you want to keep on for the whole time. And if you're asking which data discs do you recommend, that's what I'm about to go over next. And now we have my list of recommended data discs for any occasion while going through Conquest, which I'm going to call the holy grail of data discs because you might not necessarily find it, but if you do find it, it's just the way to go. Now, a lot of these are pretty common and a lot of people do recommend them, but I haven't seen a list recommending this specific setup completely. But a lot of people do like Amplify Agony is an obvious one, and Volatile Accelerator. However, you should only equip Volatile Accelerator once you already have Amplify Agony on. In my opinion, Volatile Accelerator on its own is actually kind of harmful. It's speeding up the opponent, and it's just putting damage over time without getting extra damage on that first hit, which increases the chance that they're going to die on their own from the dots, instead of you getting a kill that you're going to need for some feats. And Amplify Agony is just great. Even without Volatile Accelerator, it still is increasing the damage you do from normal debuffs you'd inflict other than these damage over times. So definitely go for Amplify Agony first, and then Volatile Accelerator. They're kind of locked together and entwined. Next, I would recommend not one, but 2 Ruthless Swiftest data discs. And obviously, the blue data discs are what you shoot for, but the green is acceptable, and the white is even okay if you can't come across any others. But these two together, if you got 2 blue ones, you're going to get 54% turn meter when an enemy falls below full health, and they're only 1 dot each. That turns basically any team in the game into a turn meter train game, except for a few like Jedi Master Kenobi, who doesn't need the help, or Lord Vader himself. He's not going to get in turn meter. But this makes any team just keep going once you get the first hit, and combined with these 2 top discs, you should have no problem running the table once you get going. Next up, we have Voluntary Vanguard, and I think this is crucial. This is basically like having Watt on every team, but better. Your strongest ally is going to taunt, which sometimes it can backfire. In the case of Rey, on that team, on a resistance team, you don't want Rey taunting, but usually it works out fine anyway, because she does have a massive health pool and she can take care of herself. So even there, it kind of is helpful. But this allows you to use a lot of teams with that don't have a pre-taunt, and you're going to be able to survive those initial volleys from these super fast, over-prepared teams. So definitely, I encourage everyone to equip Voluntary Vanguard on your first run through. Next up, we've got Zealous Ambition. And I recommend just having 1 Zealous Ambition equipped in your first run through. It turns teams that kind of hit like a wet noodle and makes them amazing. If you haven't used Padme with Zealous Ambition, definitely try it out. She is probably the hardest hitting character in the game once you have one of these data discs equipped, and it makes those feats where it requires no attackers much simpler. And there are some teams that I'll show you in another video that involve no attackers that makes them just absolute juggernauts as long as you have this equipped. And after these top 6 data discs, you're going to have 1 dot left. And it's up to you what you can do with that. I would even say it would be fine if you swap out a Ruthless Swiftness and don't have this last data disc and put another 2 dot somewhere that you want. But Critical Formation 2 is very helpful for keeping your team topped off with protection. Whenever an ally scores a critical hit on an enemy, all allies recover 12% protection. So if you do an AoE critical, you're gaining 60% protection. And that will go a long way towards helping you 3-star every node on the first try. One other thing to keep in mind is with Ruthless Swiftness, this actually does kind of hurt a Supreme Leader Kylo Ren team, because when they are gaining turn meter, they're losing max health and protection. But with enough momentum on this team, you should be able to win, even if they get to paper-thin health and protection levels at the end. The last section today is just some other tips for Conquest in general, either on the first run or after it's completed. My first tip is identify early on which feats you want to skip. Now you're able to miss either 30 or 37 key cards, I'm not sure. But just pick, there's some feats you can skip and make it easier on yourself. For me, I like to, my Inquisitors are not fully built up, so I like to skip the defeat enemy teams with a full team of Inquisitors, and also the Purge feat. They just take too long for me, and I know you can cheese the Purge feat and get done with it. But I believe that one only gives 5 key cards this Conquest, so it's just not worth the time. If you see a feat that's only worth 5 key cards and you don't like it, those are the best to skip because they're not worth as much. And typically what happens is I just don't have to go back and clear nodes that I got a 2-star and a 1-star on, in addition to those 2 feats that I skip. Next piece of advice is farm all sector and global feats on bonus nodes. I already covered this in my first section. This is just easy datacron materials. Even now after these changes, which they kind of restricted data cache, Mark III reroll materials, you're getting a lot more of the build-up materials. It's a lot easier to come by. They're always going to drop in those sector 3 and 4 nodes, and they pile up very quickly. The only restriction is data cache, so you might be spending more time on that zone 1 bonus node, sector 1 bonus node, but definitely farm these as much as you can. Next, buy the 50 crystal refreshes, not the hundreds. So the 50 crystal refreshes are great. They're definitely worth it. It helps you, if you're using 2 or 3 refreshes a day, you can zip through Conquest and you're gonna have plenty of time to farm datacrons. And it's going to be way cheaper than you're going to get anywhere else with this 50 refreshes. Now with 100 refreshes, I wouldn't advise using them. And if you are inclined to do that, I would just say buy data cache packs that cost 550 crystals, because you're going to get around the same amount of data cache you would from farming those with the hundreds, and it saves you a lot of time. Otherwise, using the 50 crystal refreshes to get through Conquest and farm datacron materials will be by far fast enough. Next, equip War of Attrition, Deadly Catalyst, and Forced Diet all at the same time. These are all those 4-dot data discs that you need for some kind of feat, and they're not great. So what you want to do is just knock them all out at the same time. Once you've completed Conquest and unlocked all 3, just take all your data discs off, equip these 3, and then go back and fight the sector bosses first, because you need Forced Dyad to clear those. You don't even need Rare Kyler for those. You just need the data disc equipped. You could have Journey Master Kenobi, and you're still going to get that feat from the sector from the end bosses in each sector. And whenever you complete one of the feats associated with each of these, just take that data disc off and start putting your real data discs back on. Last piece of advice is don't buy the Conquest Pass. At least don't buy it if your objective is just to get Red Crate or get through Conquest easily. I've never bought the Conquest Pass. You don't need it. The Conquest Premium Pass is even worse. I don't see how it's worth $20 extra to speed up your stamina regeneration and swap out data discs for free, when how much stamina and Conquest energy could you get with the crystal value from 20 bucks? The Conquest Pass itself, if you are a spender, I think it is probably worth it because you just get a lot of extra stuff, but it doesn't help you unlock a Conquest character faster, so in my opinion, it's not worth it. But that's it for me today. Let me know what you think. This has been Sanjita signing off.